We still have a great way to go we don't have the liquidity for the contract in Brazil now. They are month based, okay, the periodicity, but still we have a good environment for trading.
I'll talk now to Rodrigo Machado. He's head of the energy department here at Madrona Law. What is the environment nowadays for the energy, specifically the electricity industry here in Brazil?
Well, we believe it's a good moment now in Brazil since we had a restructuring in 2012. It was a big crisis, okay, for the renewal of some concessions. So the old power plants, hydropower plants were renewed, and that generate big instability or regulatory instability at that moment was a big game changing, the changing of the rules, okay, of the game. But now we understand better these new rules, and we have some foreign companies coming to Brazil. We have already, how can I say, digested this new environment, and we believe the environment is better, and we can see that because a lot of foreign investors, are coming to Brazil, and we can quote Europeans like Enel Green Power from Italy, the Portuguese from EDP and EDP, and also the Chinese. So we have China Three Gorges, we have State Grid, and the Americans are investing also heavily. So funds like Brookfield, and we are, we have good perspective for this year and 2018 for foreign investors.
And what is the structure? Does it need some investment?
Yeah, good question. So institutionally speaking, so of course, as all over the world, the power, the electricity service is regulated, okay? So it's heavily regulated. So we have a national agency. We have adopted the agency model like in the US and some places like in European Union. So we have the Ministry of Energy, the ANEL, that is the national agency for power, electricity. We have also a company that is state-owned and actually just for research and development, like for an example, to calculate the prices for the bids, for the public bids, and etc. So this is a company public-owned specifically for these services. And then we have for the commercialization of the trading of the power, of the electricity, we have, it's not a public entity, but it's created by law, so it's a private entity, but created by law. It's called the Chamber of Commercialization, Power Chamber of Commercialization. I don't know how to translate that the best way, but it works like it's like an exchange, power exchange, okay? We still have a great way to go we don't have the liquidity for the contract in Brazil now. They are month based, okay, the periodicity, but still we have a good environment for trading, okay. Regarding the public utilities, this is a little bit more trickier. So we have a specific regulation, and everything is by concession, public contract, and this is a little more sensitive, of course, to changes in law, changes in regulation, well, it's a roller coaster. But now, after the political crisis, we are still, I believe, in a little political crisis, but we just changed the president, and I believe everybody knows that, and we hope that things will get more stable from now on until 2018, when we have the presidential elections again, and we are hoping, we are betting on this. So answer your question, is heavily regulated. We have segments that are public, like the public utilities distribution. We have generation, that is private, and we have commercialization, that is commodity, but we still need liquidity. So this is the three main, and the transmission line, I'm sorry, that is also heavily regulated, and concession agreements. So I believe that's the segments.
Technically speaking, will the plants receive some kind of improvement?
So good question. Yeah, we have, of course, the new projects. They are built from greenfield, but we have the old plants that will be concessioned again, and these plants, the old plants, they would need investments, of course. So, for example, two of the biggest plants that were renewed now were concessioned to China Three Gorges, the Chinese company. They need a lot of investment. We just saw some weeks ago in the U.S., not in Brazil, in the U.S., a crisis regarding an old power plant in there that the dam was old and, of course, need repair, and received so much water from the river from some specific climate reason, and there was a risk of breaking the dam. And we don't want that in Brazil. We have really big power plants, and if one of them breaks, would be a big problem, of course. So investment are needed, and that's one of the points that in 2012, the law that I told you about, that changed and was a regulatory instability. It doesn't provide for this kind of investment, and this model is being reviewed. We have some advances already, and we believe that the new concessions will already be better at this point, will generate the cash flow needed for investment, and will generate more interest from the foreign investors that we need now in Brazil. I believe, that's my opinion, we need foreign capital for this investment, not only in the power sector, not only in generation plants, but in the whole sector, in the whole infrastructure sector.
Regarding regulation, do you think it avoids some kind of trust?
Yeah, we have. That's a good point. I mean, since we opened the electricity sector to competition in the mid-90s, unfortunately, the privatization movement was not complete. Okay, so we have in Brazil a big influence of public-owned companies in this sector. Okay, so we have the group Eletrobras group that holds most of the generation in Brazil until nowadays. It is restructuring now. There is this new government has a different view of the public service, and is again investing in privatization. So we have the distribution utilities companies are being privatized, already in process. We'll have this bid soon, early 2018 maybe, or late 2017. So this process is needed. We have to finish the privatization process, because we cannot have the regulator, that is the government, being the main player in the sector. But we have a really good trust or competition law in Brazil. There is a new law from 2012, if I'm not wrong, and CADE, that is the entity responsible for this kind of regulation, is also known internationally for is really a good regulation. And I believe this would not be a problem. This is more like a restructuring of the sector than actually a trust problem, a competition problem.
And mainly, where are the investors from?
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, we can see now, of course, we have China. We don't know how it will behave in the next years, but China, we have big companies now in Brazil, so State Grid, China Three Gorges, but there's many others that are not in Brazil yet, can come in the next years. We have the European, like the French, EDF, the Portuguese, EDP, they are already in Brazil, both of them. Enel Green Power, also Engie, this is a French. I forgot to mention Angie. And the Americans, mostly Brookfield now that I'm seeing, and the big funds like BlackRock and etc. Canadians also because they have a solid background with hydropower plants. So I mean, I believe the investors come from there. I just said all over the world actually, but that's the main players we are seeing right now.
And the most important question, will electricity be cheaper for us?
I hope so. I hope so. But we have, I mean, the people who work with regulation in the power sector, there's a saying that is the more expensive electricity is the one that doesn't reach your house. So if you don't have electricity, that's the worst case scenario. That's expensive enough. So actually, we have to pay the fair price, but the concept of fair price is something that I have a point of view, and probably the companies, the consumer has a point of view, and the companies has other point of view. The main goal here is generate stability. So with that, we can, have lower prices for the end consumer like us.
Especially for industries.
And for the industry, of course, that generates, of course, only good in the whole chain and lower the prices, etc. That's a goal. We work for that every day.
Thank you so much for joining us here in Dukascopy TV.
It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, and hope I was clear enough for our viewers. And if you have any further questions, I'm at your disposal.
Thank you. Luciane Miranda to Dukascopy TV.